All right? So, I want to start off with something funny before we get serious. This cartoon says, you've got a rare condition called good health. Frankly, we're not sure how to treat it. Right? So this is what I want the conversations with your medical doctor to look like. Okay? And so your doctor should be looking at you and saying, what in the world are you doing? Because you're just baffling me, and I'm having to take you off these medications, and that's not normal. That should be the conversation you're having with the doctor. And if the doctor's not willing to take you off those medications, find a new doctor. Okay? Because you guys do not need to be like zombies walking around all day long. And if you are, actually, if you are a guest, raise your hand. If it's the first time you've ever been in my office, raise your hand. Keep your hands up. We're just going to do a head count. All right? This is your cue, Liz. You got. She's just making sure she's got everybody keep their hand up high so she can count. Everybody's got their hand up? All right, thank you. And while I'm doing that, we got you over here. All right, while I say that, Liz, raise your hand, Liz. So this, guys, this is Liz. For those of you that have been patients for a long time, Colleen, who's been with us forever, she's been a patient of mine for about 9 years. Then she worked with me for a while. School started back, and it's almost an hour-and-a-half drive for her to get here one way. And so she's been dedicated, driving all the way down from the other side of Inman, an hour-and-a-half down 85, fighting traffic. But now obviously school started back this year, and she missed all that last year with her son because she's not getting home until 8:30 every night, right? And so she parted ways with us gracefully, on good terms. You guys will still see her coming down here with her family getting adjusted, but we're going to miss her. So we hired Liz, so you guys can give Liz a round of applause. She survived this week, so hopefully she'll be back Monday. She moved all the way down here from Virginia, right?
Yes.
And she moved down this week and started a job this week, and she hasn't even moved into her house yet. we put her feet to the fire. She's thankful she's off on Fridays. All right, so she can move in tomorrow. All right. Really, before we get started, also, so if you are a guest and you had your hand held high, Stacy, where are you? Stacy, my lovely wife Stacy, who you guys hear me on the radio with every week. Been together 20-something years, but. If something I say, and you're a guest, if something I say resonates with you and you want to learn more about this Max Living thing and how we can help you reverse heart disease, get off medications, or just try something different, see Stacy afterwards, and she'll schedule you guys a consultation with me next week if you would like to do that. All right, so that's our gift to you. All right, and we'll actually, by doing that, if you listen to the radio, you know it's $52 for the first visit with me. If you do it with Stacy, at the end of the day, it's only going to be $47, and that will include your exam, your x-rays, your first treatment with me to see how you respond, everything. So the next visit after that, we can tell you what we can do for you. So very efficient for you there. All right, so see her afterwards. So let's get you healthy. All right. So what is the #1 killer in our country? Does anybody know? Heart disease. So more people die from heart disease than any other condition on the planet, okay? About 850,000 people die on average every single year from heart disease. And heart disease, guys, is a lifestyle condition. So if you lifestyle your way into it, you should be able to what? Lifestyle your way out. But we think we can't once we get it. We think, oh, I got to take these medications. Nothing's going to change. I'm stuck on these pills. And that's not the case, right? 1 out of every 3 people in our country die from heart disease, right? So that's somebody dies every 38 seconds. Somebody has a heart attack every 60 seconds. And then somebody every 38 seconds actually dies from that heart attack. By the year 2035, it's going to be estimated, right now it's $5.5 billion a year is what we spend treating heart disease. And by 2035, in about 15 or 18 years, however that is, it's going to double to 1.1 trillion. So that's going to bankrupt us, right? Obviously, 850,000 deaths there. So let's talk about the heart. This thing's amazing. A funny story, when I was in school, they put us through this class called Gross Anatomy. And in Gross Anatomy, pretty much you go in on day 1, and they give you a cadaver, which is an embalmed dead person, right? And between the whole quarter semester, our job is to take that full cadaver, dissect every single nerve, skin, part, organ out of it, and by the time we're done, it's in 5-gallon buckets, right? So we go through everything. And so when we got to the heart, hang on, this is same, I need to update something. So when we got to the heart, it was my day to dissect the heart out, and guys, the heart is no bigger than your fist. It's amazing. And that heart keeps that whole entire body going. And just look at these stats. Your heart pumps 2,000 gallons per day. All right? That's a solid muscle there, right? There's 60,000 miles of heart vessels in the entire body. That's a lot of vessels, right? And so that little thing called the heart is so important to us we don't realize it, and so we don't take care of it. But if it's strong enough to pump 2,000 gallons a day, and it's strong enough to hold keep your entire body going and pump blood to all those muscles, we need to pay close attention to it. All right? So, this is the myth when it comes to heart disease. Heart disease is normal with aging. All right? Everybody thinks when they get older, they're going to have heart disease. That is a lie. All right? My grandmother was 94 years old when she passed away last year. She didn't have no diseases. She wasn't even taking any medications. She had no heart disease whatsoever. But guess what she did? She took care of herself, and she just died of old age. The truth is, heart disease is common when you get older, but it's not normal. All right? So, these are the three key factors that the specialists say cause heart disease. And we're sort of going to debunk some of these and debate some of this a little bit later. But so these are number 3 things that people say cause heart disease. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, and smoking. We're not going to talk about smoking. That's like kicking a dead horse. We know smoking's not bad for us, right? I mean, we know smoking is bad for us. I say that because you guys don't know this, but before I became a Max Living doctor, I smoked for 10 years straight. I smoked a pack of cigarettes a day, all right? And I quit cold turkey one day. I tried that slow quitting, and it didn't work. And then one day I said, you know what? I won't give this to the Lord. And I walked in my church, and I knew there was a basket behind the pulpit over there. I threw them in the trash can and said, you can have them. And I walked out, hadn't picked one up since, right? And so I quit cold turkey. You know, you got to get rid of yourself and ask for some help, right? Yeah. And so I haven't smoked in, what's that been, 10, 15 years? So. But anyways, I did it for 10 years, so I'm not going to knock smokers because I know that's a difficult thing. So let's talk about high blood pressure and cholesterol. So, do you think you would have high blood pressure if you're this guy? Yes. Okay? All right? Funny story, I saw this and I had to get it because I've been that guy. All right? Seriously. So, in my family, we believe on spending money on experiences and creating memories versus stuff. And so instead of buying a car for my daughter when she graduated 7 years ago, whatever, I said, well, I'll take you anywhere in the world you want to go. Well, her whole life she collected giraffes, and so she wanted to see giraffes in their natural environment. So guess where we went? South Africa. So we flew over to South Africa. I was lucky enough because we support a missionary over there, and so he let us stay there, for 2 weeks free of charge. It was amazing. And so we're out, and we rafted down this river called the Zambezi River, and we went rafting under this giant bridge. And there was people bungee jumping off the bridge. And so my daughter, being 17 or 18 years old, she goes, Daddy, I want to bungee jump. And I'm thinking, you're crazy. But that's what it's about the experience and memories. So we got back off our trip, and we asked the guides how to get back to the bridge. And so he said, go down this long dirt road. And so my daughter and I are walking down this long dirt road about a half a mile. And as we're going, we hear something rustling in the woods. And so we speed up. And as soon as we get about right here where you are, Jerry, we get by, and this giant elephant comes out of the woods. I mean, the tusks were bigger than me, right? And what do you think my blood pressure did? Because, in Africa, they wander around in the woods, right? It's like squirrels out here, right? And so we see this giant elephant, and me and her did what? We took off running, and our blood pressure went through the roof. And so when I saw this picture of this guy right here with this being chased by this hippo, I had to show that picture. But I show you is this because of this. When you guys go to the doctor, they call it the white coat syndrome, and you get nervous because you got to be good for the doctor. Right. And so you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, be low, and they're checking your blood pressure and it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. And then he's like, Mr. Jones, you got high blood pressure, you got to take this pill for the rest of your life. And you're like, oh. And you take medication that you don't need, unfortunately, and that's what it is. And then you go home and you check it relaxing, and the blood pressure's like 110/50, and you're about to pass out, and you don't know why. It's because of the high blood pressure. So the point is, when you have, guys, the body is amazing. So when your blood pressure goes high, it's doing that for a reason, all right? If you're taking a blood pressure medication to lower your blood pressure, that means your heart cannot pump the blood to your muscles like it needs to. And that is dangerous, all right? Which we'll learn about why in a moment, all right? So, high blood pressure is necessary, not a bad thing is the point. So, these are the 3 stages that are current. These change all the time. If you look it up on the World Health Organization, they tell you for globally, blood pressure should be 150/90. If you're 50 years or older, it should be 150/90 or lower. In the States, we have this. We're different than the rest of the world. Right? I'm not going to get into that debate. Right? But according to the World Health Organization, 150/90 for people that are 50 years or older is okay, and you don't need medication. So, in the good old U.S., it's very low. Because guess what we can do here? More and more medications, right? So understand that. So patience of mine, that's why I tell you guys, if it's under 150/90, if it's under there, don't worry about it. Because the side effects of the medication are causing more harm than good. All right? I did a radio show about the side effects of blood pressure medications a couple weeks ago. We got like 100 calls. So what I want to do is not go through all of them, but go through some of these. So blood pressure medications that lower your blood pressure cause extra urination, ED in men, weakness in leg cramps, fatigue, asthma, cold hands and feet, depression, insomnia, dry mouth, skin rashes, constipation, dizziness, headache, irregular heartbeat, swollen ankles. How many of you guys have swollen ankles? And what does the doctor do? They give you a pill for the swollen ankles. But hey, your blood pressure's low, right? This is important. No, anyway. I think I did a show a couple weeks ago about those blood pressure medications that were causing cancer. Anybody remember that one? Yeah, you heard of that? Yeah. And guys, I just simply pulled these off the regular websites that the medications come from. If you want to do your own research, I encourage you to do it. Drugs.com is a neutral one. You simply type in the medication and the word side effects, and it will list every side effect for your medication. And then you ask yourself, well, are these side effects worth me having my blood pressure into this range right here, okay? And 90% of the times they're not. So, if you have high blood pressure, so what do you do naturally? There's a couple of things. I talked about magnesium on the radio the other day, and I think we sold out in 1 week after we talked about it, right? So I want to mention it now. Liquid magnesium, when taking a teaspoon before you go to bed every night, it relaxes muscle. What is the strongest muscle in your body? It's your heart. So if you just simply take a teaspoon of liquid magnesium, and my wife takes this every night to go to bed because it helps her sleep, because it relaxes muscles. A teaspoon of liquid magnesium will lower your blood pressure. So it does the same thing the blood pressure medication does without any side effects. The key is, though, you want to do a liquid, not a pill, because a liquid is fast acting and it just absorbs right in. A funny story, though, I have to tell you with liquid magnesium, don't drink it out of the bottle and don't do more than a teaspoon, right? My wife, I could not sleep a while back, and I said, honey, I can't sleep. She says, well, take some of my magnesium. And I said, well, how much do I take? She said, just a teaspoon. I take it. I said, all right. Well, being a guy, I popped the top, and I did this. That tastes pretty good. She laughs, and I'm like, what you laughing? She goes, you're going to be in the bathroom. I said, no, I'm not. I'm a big guy. I can handle it. Guess what happened 2 hours later? I'm in the bathroom because he relaxed the bowels. Those of you that are constipated, drink some liquid magnesium. It flushes you right out. Then they're done that, right? It works every time. Right? So that's the liquid magnesium. If you have high blood pressure and you don't like the side effects of the medication, it does the same thing. All right? For those of you that are patients, sometimes I have you guys lay on your side and I adjust that little bone up there, right? It's called the atlas. The reason why I adjust that for some of you that are patients is because according to research, and we have copies of all this research at the front desk if you want a copy of it yourself, or you can write it down. You can find this one on WebMD. Basically it says a single atlas adjustment here lowers your blood pressure by 10 points with no side effects. And the study showed it's better than the 2 leading blood pressure medications combined. Every time. There's the article right there. You can find it on WebMD if you want to look it up yourself. If not, Sherry can give you a copy of it, okay? So something as simple as adjusting what we call your atlas, which regulates the vagus nerve, which controls all that stuff, on average drops your blood pressure by 10 points. No side effects. So why do you need medications? Because your doctor tells you you need them, which is not always the right case, right? So now let's talk about cholesterol. I get heated about cholesterol. All right? So let's talk about it before I destroy it. All right? So cholesterol is a simple, soft, waxy substance that's made by the liver. All right? 80% of cholesterol, guys, is made by your liver. Right. 80%. Your brain is made up of what? Cholesterol. Breast milk is made up of what? Cholesterol. All right? So cholesterol is not necessarily a bad thing. All right? And cholesterol is used in the human body, and this is why we're so deficient and have so many problems, because we're lowering our cholesterol too low, and watch this. Cholesterol is needed to manufacture hormones, bile acid, which breaks down fat, and vitamin D. Okay? So when you're taking a cholesterol medication, like 90% of adults do, it's lowering your cholesterol, and what are you not making? Hormones. And guys, you wonder why you have low T, right? Yeah. And you're taking low T shots or pills or what, you know, the deodorant now they have that has testosterone in it, the androgel or whatever it is. And so you have low T, gentlemen, and you don't know why. It's not because you're getting old, okay? I know plenty of older guys over 50 and 60 that have more energy than I do, right? But when you take the cholesterol medications and the blood pressure medications, it destroys your testosterone. Also, ladies, it throws your estrogen balance all over the place. And that's a big issue as you get older as well. All right? So there's two types of cholesterol, HDL and LDL. Yeah. HDL is what we call the good stuff, right? That goes through the arteries really, really fast. Look at like high or fast, and that goes through and cleans those arteries out. The LDL is what gets the bad rap, all right? But LDL is just trying to do its job, which we'll talk about in a moment. LDL is what goes into the arteries and sticks everywhere and clogs things up, and we call it plaque. But LDL was just doing its job that God gave it to do, which you'll learn about in a moment. And then all of a sudden your cholesterol is high, or you have too much plaque and you have a heart attack or stroke. And the first thing we do is we blame it on cholesterol. Had nothing to do with cholesterol, right? And we're going to show you that in a moment, right? So what causes high cholesterol? Yeah. Obviously French fries, right? I mean, and just foods and diet, nutrition. Poor nutrition causes your cholesterol to go up. So look at it like this. So cholesterol's job, the reason why the liver makes 80% of it, its job, the reason the Lord gives you cholesterol, its number one job is to fight inflammation. Okay? So inflammation, which you'll see in a moment, causes heart disease, strokes, and clogged arteries, not the cholesterol. Cholesterol is doing its job. So what happens is you guys take cholesterol medication to lower your cholesterol, and there's nothing left to fight the inflammation. So what happens to the arteries? They keep getting worse and worse and worse, and you have a heart attack or stroke anyways, right? On top of that, the medications cause all these problems right here, right? Does that make sense to you guys? So this is cholesterol. The statin drugs you hear me talking about cause liver damage, neuropathy, severe joint pain, muscle wasting atrophy, heart failure, because your heart is a muscle, depression, and stops CoQ10 production. So let me talk about that. All right, so watch this. This is how statin medications work if you've never heard me say this. So this is your liver, all right? This is your heart, all right? You go to your doctor and he or she tells you have high cholesterol. So the first thing they put you on is a what? A statin, because they say high cholesterol causes heart attacks and strokes. That is a lie. I'm going to show you the research and have you guys look it up on your phone in a moment. So watch this. So your doctor says cholesterol's too high, you got to take statin drugs, and you take the statin drug, and then you wonder why you have liver damage, you wonder why you're tired and you're lethargic all the time, you wonder why you're depressed, and you wonder why your blood pressure goes up because now it has to work harder because your heart's not working, and you wonder why you have all this joint inflammation, right? Because watch, when you take a cholesterol medication, let me see if I can find this. All right. There it is right there. Sorry, I'm jumping around. There it is. Okay. So when you take a cholesterol medication, this is what happens. The statin drug kills this enzyme right here. And that enzyme is the precursor for this. And when that's made out of the liver, it makes what? Cholesterol and CoQ10. So when you take a statin drug, it kills this enzyme so you no longer make cholesterol. All right? So watch what happens. You eat bad food, right? And it's going into your bloodstream. And the liver's job is to filter your blood, right? And it filters the blood and it says, you got too much inflammation in the blood. So we need to make cholesterol. And so it starts pumping out all this cholesterol into the arteries. And your doctor's saying, well, your cholesterol's too high. Give me a statin drug. You take a statin drug, and that statin drug comes in here to the cholesterol coming out, and it kills this enzyme right there. And when it kills that enzyme, you no longer make cholesterol, right? But watch, the byproduct of cholesterol is what? CoQ10. Does anybody know what CoQ10 does? It's what the body uses to take the energy from the food you eat, good or bad, and it takes that energy. It's called ATP from biology. It takes that ATP and it's the transport to take from the energy to your muscles. And what's the big muscle? Heart. So when you take a statin drug, you're killing the enzyme, so you don't make cholesterol, but you don't make CoQ10, and therefore you're not getting any energy from the food you eat to your muscles, including your heart. And so what does your heart have to do? Work harder. And it gets bigger, right? And what does it still have to do? It gets bigger, and then your blood pressure goes up through the roof. And what do? Give you more medication. And what do you still have? You still have a heart attack. And your cholesterol was way down here like the doctor wanted, but you still had a heart attack. All right? So watch this. More people in the United States die from low cholesterol than high. All right? I'm going to show you these numbers here. So, research, and this is a dinky, little small research, and I'm going to show you the big ones. But this is a small one that got a lot of headlines. Researchers followed 114 people with heart problems who began taking cholesterol-lowering drugs. They found that every point of decrease in the cholesterol, there was a 36% increase in the risk of death. And some of you are saying, well, that's just 114 people, right? I pulled up 24 other studies off Google, right, that said the same thing with larger studies. Now, what I want you guys to do to make this real, so you don't see I'm making this up, let me grab my phone. Everybody pull up their smartphone.
If you don't have one.
If you don't have one, just look over there. I want you to pull up the old Google. All right, you guys pull up Google. If you got a smartphone, pull up Google. And in your Google, I want you to type in this right here. Low versus high cholesterol death rates. If you got Google, pull that up. So low versus high cholesterol death rates. Because everybody thinks high cholesterol kills people. And when you have low cholesterol, you're not going to die. All the research shows people that die from heart disease have low cholesterol, not high. Because when your cholesterol is high, it's doing what? Fighting the inflammation. Does that make sense? When you bring it down, you can't fight the inflammation. And therefore, there's nothing left to fight the inflammation. It clogs your artery and you have a heart attack or stroke. All right? So those of you that pulled it up, read along with me. This is Google, front page of Google. Lack of an association or an inverse association between low density and high density. If you look down through there, it says cardiovascular low density protein cholesterol. Statistically, people that die pretty much with low cholesterol, not high. If you go to the next one, let me make my eyes are not bad. It says it's at the bottom. It says higher mortality rates among people with low cholesterol. If you just pretty much you can scroll through all these. We're going to ignore the CDC one because that's the only one on the front page that says otherwise. The American Heart Association, AHA, the American Heart Association, on their website, it says, if you click on it, it actually says that there's a correlation with people that have higher mortality rates with low cholesterol versus high. The American Heart Association says that, right? If you keep going down, older people with the lowest cholesterol have some of the highest death rates. Elderly people with low cholesterol dying, and it talks about less often. All right? So the point is, you can see it right there and do your research when you get home. Right there, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of research articles that back that up. So when your doctor is telling you you need to lower your cholesterol to fight heart disease, you're simply taking medication that's going to do what? It's going to cause heart disease. And doctors aren't bad people, but do you understand why it's not working? Does anybody have any question or doubt that so I can explain it better? Yes, you go ahead.
I'm just wondering, like, you go on this cholesterol medication, and then people, especially older people, I want to continue eating the way I am, and pies and cakes and sugar and all this stuff, and the sugar creates more inflammation, and it's a vicious circle, and so maybe that's why they die?
Yes, that's the next part. We're going to, great question. So I'm going to actually explain that in 1 second. Great question. Okay. Yeah, let me see, make sure I didn't jump too far ahead. But I'm going to answer that question in a moment.
Okay.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
My question is back to you were talking about the LDL. You said that the LDL causes plaque.
Yes, and I'll explain that in a second, because that's the cholesterol that blocks everything up because it's fighting the inflammation, which I'm going to get to right here in a moment. Really quick, though. So bottom line is, though, if you are taking cholesterol medications, we recommend what? CoQ10.
Yeah.
Well, I recommend you stop taking the medication. I'm not telling you to, but if you were my mom or dad, I'd tell you not to take it. But if CoQ10 is what you need to take to fight the side effects of that statin medication, all right?
Is that wise to just stop it? I mean, just stop it?
I won't say that. They're recording me, so I can't say that on the record. This is going to be on YouTube, right?
If I went to my doctor and said, I'm not taking this anymore.
No, so
To get mad at
I was asked that by my mother one time, and I told my mother to not take it. Okay?
Stop it.
And she's my mother. Okay.
When you said CoQ10, that comes in so many different milligrams though.
Yeah, and so everybody's different based on your age. Okay, so the older you get, obviously, if you're on statin drugs, you should take more. If you're not on statin drugs, you take less. So everybody's different. Just so you know, I can't speak on everybody's, but anything I sell with my label on it, the Max Living label, it's actually designed for a 170-pound person. Okay, so if you're more or less, you know the dosage what it should be. Okay, so just follow whatever the label says there. If you're taking mine, everybody's different. Carol.
If you're not taking statin, you should still take that?
If you get older, yes, because as you get older, your body makes less CoQ10. That's why you slow down. All right?
Okay.
Yeah. But when you take statins, that just speeds that process up. Right? It doesn't make any at all. All right? All right. So instead of just taking medication, let's get to the cause, of which we're going to answer those two latest questions in a second. So cholesterol increases due to what? Inflammation. Because cholesterol's job is to fight what? Inflammation. Right? And so inflammation is caused by medication, sugar, grains, toxicity, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then blood pressure rises due to stress physically or emotionally, right? So if the hippo is chasing or the elephant is chasing, your blood pressure is doing what? It's going up. If you're not eating healthy and you're out of shape and you're too overweight and your body can't handle itself, the blood pressure is going to do what? Go up. But it's just trying to do its thing, okay? And so, guys, you know, when I was 50 pounds heavier, and I've gone up and down and I lost 50 pounds at one time, and so when I was 50 pounds heavier, guess what my blood pressure was? It was up because I had a lot of extra weight on me, even though I was a tall guy, because my heart was having to do what? Pump more blood through my big body, right? And when you take a blood pressure medication, it slows everything down, and guess what? You get what? Tired because you don't get enough blood going through there, right? And so inflammation. So what causes inflammation? Okay, this was on Time Magazine a while back. It says the secret killer. Some researchers got together and they agreed with me. And they were saying that inflammation is actually what's causing heart attacks and strokes, not high cholesterol. So these are the things that cause inflammation. Sugar, the wrong ratio of fatty acid, which we'll talk about in a moment, acidic environment like the foods you eat, and then free radical damage from too many damaged cells. So these are the things that cause inflammation. This is all this blood sugar stuff. Let me go through that. This is what I want to get to answer you guys' question. All right, so bear with me here. All right, so this is the artery. That's an artery. Everybody see that? Okay, that's an artery. It's nice and clean, right? So you eat bad food. You eat bad food, it goes into your liver. Liver says you got too much inflammation in your bloodstream because of the bad food you're eating. We need to make cholesterol, and because that blood goes out of the liver back into the arteries, they go back into the heart, right? And so you have all this inflammation now in your arteries because you're eating bad foods. And so it starts to form inflammation on the artery walls. All right? Your liver says, uh-oh, we got inflammation. We need to make what to fight it? Cholesterol. And so it makes, the HDL is going through here really fast, cleaning the blood. But the LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, it's saying, uh-oh, we have to do our job. And that LDL comes in here and it starts laying down on top of the inflammation. Okay? And then your doctor says, your cholesterol is high, take this medication. And you lower this cholesterol. But you keep eating bad. Answer your question or your question. You keep eating bad. You think, well, my cholesterol is under control, so I can eat sweets. Right. And you keep getting what? More inflammation. And it keeps going and going and going and going and going and going. Or you you take the medication. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting confused. So you take the medication, or you don't take the medication, but you keep eating bad, and that LDL is coming, and it keeps laying down more and more cholesterol or LDL on top of the inflammation, and it forms, we call what? Plaque. And you don't change your diet, or nothing changes, or you take the medication and you still don't change your diet. It keeps laying more and more cholesterol or LDL on top of the inflammation until it forms too much plaque, and guess what happens? It blocks up and you have a stroke or heart attack. And the first thing we say was because you had clogged arteries because your cholesterol was too what? Too high. Because you weren't taking the statin medication, Mr. Jones. Right? So you need to be on this medication. You just got to see how that works.
But what in some of those cases where you weren't taking statin drugs and you developed plaque like that?
Because you didn't change your diet. So remember, because LDL is what makes the plaque. And so the cholesterol, that part of the cholesterol's job is to fight the inflammation on the inside of the artery. So the inflammation is going up because of the bad food or the stress or whatever's causing cortisol is a stress hormone, and insulin is another issue too. That's a whole other subject. But when that inflammation is very high in your arteries, even though you're not taking anything, that LDL or that bad cholesterol is still laying down on top of that inflammation to fight it. All right?
You don't
And
think
you're
any
not-
of that could be hereditary?
It is. So more people. So genes are like this. If I have I have my card. I carry a gun, right? And so my guns don't kill people. People kill people, right? And so if my gun is laying here on the counter, but it's loaded, it's not dangerous until somebody does what? Pick it up, and pulls the trigger.
Yeah.
And then we blame it on the gun when it's the person that killed it. But anyway, that's a whole other story, right? So your genes, ma'am, are the bullets in your gun, okay? So unless you express those genes or unless you pull that trigger, you don't fire the bullet. And so unless you express those genes, you don't have the problem. So if you have the bad genes and you can't deal with cholesterol because cholesterol runs in your family, then you express those genes by eating more bad food. Or you have a harder time to fight cholesterol because you have the bad genes. Does that make sense? So you just have to try harder to eat more healthier and stay active and things like that. So yes, genetics has a part to do with it, but only if you pull that trigger and express that gene, right?
Does plaque
Here.
go away?
Plaque over time, yes. Your heart can actually repair itself over so many years. I don't know the exact time, if you look it up, your heart, if you just get healthy and do what you're supposed to do, your heart will regenerate and you can actually reverse heart disease within a year or two if you just do the right things. And just like the arteries, because everything's always growing in your body, right? Even though you get old and the muscles go away and your energy goes away and your posture goes away, the inside keeps reproducing cells until you get to a certain age and the body just gives out, all right? Any other questions?
Is there certain things that make like the LDL cholesterol sticky? Where I've heard like calcium carbonate is one that will actually make the LDL sticky, that it sticks in your arteries. But calcium citrate or something.
Yeah, I don't know the
doesn't?
difference between those two. I don't want to speak on something I'm not 100%
Okay.
familiar with. So
I was
that's
just curious,
I have to do my
something-
research
there
on
is
that one.
something in that
Yeah.
it actually makes them sticky, that will stick to your arteries, you know, and
Yeah, I mean, anytime you eat inflammatory foods or anything like that, again, it just causes inflammation in your arteries, and then the cholesterol, good or bad, whatever, is just going to do its thing, and it's going to clog and cause inflammation. So, this is a good example of that. Nice and normal, and then you keep eating bad foods, and it causes inflammation in the artery, and before you know it, it clogs up. All right, and so that's the bottom line. So the true cause of heart disease is not yes, the cholesterol is high, and it would cause the plaque, but it was not the cholesterol's fault. It was your fault because you kept eating bad food and you didn't lower the cholesterol naturally. So when it comes to that, what I tell people is if your cholesterol is under 300, don't worry about it, right? Seriously, under 300, don't worry about it, right? And because when it gets over 300, it can start getting dangerous, but if it's under 300, don't worry about it. And you can put me on record as saying that. Because you want some cholesterol, because cholesterol's job is to do what? Fight inflammation. And if you have high cholesterol, it's because you got so much inflammation. Just get rid of the inflammation, right? Don't be lazy and take a pill. And so if it gets too low, you're one of those statistics and you're still going to have a heart attack or stroke, right? Something that's good for inflammation in the arteries, for those of you that are wondering, is things like daily defense. This is turmeric and stuff like that. So daily defense, if you have inflammation in your arteries and things like that, daily defense helps clean the arteries out naturally, okay? Daily defense. That's one of the 5 things in your heart healthy package, which we're talking about, all right? So, you know all this stuff now, what causes it, all this bad stuff, and some of it's true, some of it's lies. So now what do? All right, so you got it, now let's get rid of it. So these are our 5 essentials that we talk about. We're going to skip the chiropractic part because that's the base of everything we do. I'll close with that. So let's briefly talk about nutrition, mindset, oxygen, and then we might talk about toxins if we have enough time. All right? So the first thing you want to do to address your high cholesterol levels, if you're worried about them being, over 100 or whatever your doctor's telling you, if they're under 300, I wouldn't worry about it because the benefits of the medication don't outweigh the side effects. Okay? Just again, look up the side effects of your medication and see if it's worth it. To you, it may be, and that's okay. It's your right. So when it comes to nutrition, what's good and what's bad? I mean, it's common sense. I don't need to beat a dead horse here. Which one's going to cause inflammation?
Burger.
And it's going, yes, it's going to make your belly swell, but obviously the other inflammation as well. All right. And for those of you that like burgers, just go to Five Guys and eat the burger without the bun. Don't tell me you can't eat meat. I eat meat all the time. All right. And if you're not sure with the recipes and stuff, you can always go. For those of you that are patients, you have our recipe books. You have all that stuff in there. But if not, you can always go to our website, mlgreenwood.com. And we have a host of a lot of recipes there to help bring your cholesterol down if that's something you're worried about as well. All right? Healthy fats versus damaged fats. These are the biggest things that cause inflammation, not including the sugars. It's a lot of these damaged fats, trans fats, vegetable oils, commercialized meats, the ones that aren't grass-fed, things like that. These are the good fats. So if you're a patient of mine, you know we have you do 70% good fats, right? Because we have you strip all the sugars out, and we have you replace the sugar with what? Good fat. And so I have you eat 70% fat, and that's how you lose a lot of weight. Believe it or not, eat more fat, you'll lose weight. It works, doesn't it? All right. Hey, Teresa, you still here? Teresa, stand up for me, Teresa. All right. So guys, this is Teresa. All right. Everybody always asks me. So they look on this board over here, Teresa, and they say, "Really? Did somebody lose 199.2 pounds, or you just make that up?" I said, "No, she's a real person." That's her right there. Right? It's real. It's not made up. All these people, actually, Judy, you're here, 68 pounds. I mean, Vicky, you're back there, 60 pounds. I mean, a lot of you guys are here, lost all this weight, and then the people off these medications. Just really quick, Loretta, are you still here? Loretta just got off her diabetes medication and her heart and her blood pressure medication, right? These are real people. They're on the board and they're here in the office, and hopefully you guys will be on the board one day, all right? And just another plug: when you're done your meds, let's celebrate the drug jug, all right? We used to put the medication bottles in there, but then somebody turned me in for that. And so now we put HIPAA violation. Because it's got somebody's name on it. So now you put your name on a ping pong ball that you cannot get out of the hole once you pop it out. So that's safe, right? People, they sit around all day long and complain. That's all they do. Turn me in for something, so I really get a life. All right, spend time with yourself, not worry about me. All right, and so guys, so these are the healthy fats: olive oil, fish oil, coconut oil. Coconut oil gets a bad rap because it's a saturated fat. Guys, coconut oil is a saturated fat, but it's the only good saturated fats, right? There's like medium, short, and high chains, or I don't want to get into details, but coconut oil is the only good saturated, one of the only good saturated fats for you. So when people say coconut oil is bad for you because it's a saturated fat, they don't know what they're talking about because it's the good saturated fat, right? It's one of the ones that the cells can actually use. Nuts, almonds, cashews. I do 2 teaspoons of coconut oil every day for snack. I mean, because it's pure fat, and fat burns a lot longer, so it gives you energy, right? Do a spoon in the morning and a spoon for lunch. It gives you energy throughout the day.
Grass-fed butter.
Yeah, grass-fed butter is a good fat. So stay away from margarine. Stay away from I can't believe it ain't butter, because it ain't, and it's fake. It's horrible. It's just, if you look up how that stuff's made, it's just like bleached rubber is all it is. It's plastic is all it is. No nutritional value whatsoever. So eat lots of butter. We go to Happy Cow, which is a farm down the road from my farm.
Amen.
Yeah, it's a farm down the road from my farm, and we get like the 2, is it, how many pounds is that? 2 pounds. 2 pound box, like once or twice a week. We eat it like every butter.
Yes.
It's a good fat, guys. It's not bad. It's good for you. What's bad for you is the margarine, because it's plastic. Right? It's a good fat. You know. Anyways, speaking of fats, milk. I always get questions on milk. Milk is a sugar, so if you have sugar issues, don't drink it. But if you're going to drink milk, drink the red top, because it's full of what? Good fats.
Yeah.
When you drink skim milk, guys, or you drink the purple or the blue top milk, skim or 2%, you're drinking sugar water is all you're drinking. There's no nutritional value in it but sugar, right? That's not
So when you
nutritional.
say red, you mean whole milk?
The whole milk is red top, yeah, whole milk. Full fat. It's best to get as close to raw as you can. I always talk about Happy Cow because that's a farm close to me, and it's like semi-raw, but it's the old-fashioned one you have to shake because it's got the fat that sells on the top of it. But it's so good. Shake it up, drink it up. My son drinks it out of the jug. 2 gallons a week he's in there. It's crazy. All right. But he plays sports, so he should do that. Right? But if you have sugar issues, don't drink a lot of milk. But if you don't have sugar issues and you want good fat, you can get it from the whole red top, whole milk, okay? Because it's got the good fat in there, right? All right. And you can get good saturated fat in meat as well, as long as it's not grain-fed. You want the grass-fed beef, not grain-fed beef, right? So when it comes to fatty acids, what's helping inflammation? Too many omega-6s in our country. We eat lots of bad fats, so we have high omega-6. Omega-6 is supposedly the bad fatty acid, but it's bad if you have too much of it, but it's perfect when you take it with omega-3. So what happens, guys, is we run out to the store and we buy lots of omega-3 fish oil, right? Because we know it lowers inflammation, it's good for the arteries, all that good stuff. But the cell, guys, your cells are, your cells, for those visual guys, your cells have 2 layers around them. It's called a lipid bilayer. So it's lipid means fat, bi means 2. So it has 2 layers of fat around the cell, right? So to open and close both those cells, what do you think the 2 fats are that you need? 6 and 3, right? So you go buy a bunch of omega-3s from Costco or Sam's Club for 20 bucks, this giant jug is low omega-3. And you take all that stuff and guess what? It keeps hitting this inner wall and it can't get in. Because you don't have enough 6s with it, right? And so when you take an omega-3, you need omega-6s with it. You don't need to eat a lot of omega-6s, but when you're taking a supplement like omega-3, you need omega-6 with it. So it's called an omega, like a pro-omega. So if you're a patient of mine, we put every single one of you guys on what? The pro-omegas when you start, because that's the good fat I want on your body. And that's the ratio of 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 versus the standard American diet that's 50-to-1, meaning 6 to 3. So 50% to 50-to-1 is what our current diet is. We have too many omega-6s. That causes inflammation. So bring that down to 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, get it in a supplement, and that's going to open and close those 2 lipid bilayers so you can absorb those good fats for fuel and energy. All right? So don't waste your money on a bunch of 3s. That's the omega right there. Speaking of omegas, another good thing we're talking about supplements, some of the building blocks of hormones, like cortisol is a stress hormone, and insulin can be it sometimes. Vitamin D3 is very, very good for people with heart issues because it helps get rid of the inflammation and lower the cortisol levels in your heart and in your arteries as well. So if you have high inflammation, vitamin D3 is very, very good. If you're a patient, you know this, we recommend I don't have it up here. But we recommend 5,000 units of vitamin D3 every single day, all right, with about 10 billion probiotics to absorb it. That's why ours has D3 with the probiotics. At least 5,000 units a day. That 1,000 that you're getting doesn't work, all right? And if you're on a prescription vitamin D, it's 50,000. It doesn't work either. That's why it's 50,000, all right? It's synthetic. And so they know it won't be absorbed, so they have to give you so much all at one time. So that's why they give you 50,000, hoping you'll absorb a little bit of it. Does that make sense? That's why your prescription is 50,000 versus the supplement's only 1,000 or 5,000. Because a natural form, D3 from cholesterol, which is actually made from lanolin. For those of you that don't know that, D3, when you buy in a supplement form, is actually made from lanolin, which is sheep's wool, right? You guys know that? And you know why it comes from sheep's wool? Because sheep's wool is what? Hollow. I raise sheep, so I know this, okay? And so if sheep's was hollow, and so they say it absorbs sunlight, or whatever the case is. So literally, and I don't say you do this, but you can take the lanolin from sheep's wool, boil it on your stove, and the white stuff that comes to the top is what cholesterol is, with the D3. And you can bottle it and put it in a supplement. I mean, I don't say you should do that. I don't do that, but that's where they get it from, right? That's where it comes from. Because the sheep's wool can harvest sunlight, so to speak, right? That's how you you give that to your body to make D3 naturally. I think you should be in the sun for at least 15 minutes a day, because good old sunshine makes D3 that way, right? So if you're not in the sun though, because you're scared of the sun, then take the D3. For those of you that are scared of the sun, if you take a plant out of the sun, what happens to it? It dies. It wilts. If you take yourself out of the sun, what's going to happen to you? You're going to die and wilt. Okay?
So if you get in the sunlight, you don't need
You don't need it. Exactly. Exactly. If you get the sun, you don't need the D3. But we're scared of the sun, so.
Well, what about the probiotic?
Okay. The reason why probiotic is in ours is because when you're taking D3, you have to absorb it somehow, right? So ours has 10 billion probiotic in there for the gut to help you absorb it. Some people swear by, I think, is it K or something like that? They take K with theirs or something like that. But ours just has probiotics because it's good for your gut health at the same time. All right. And really quick, because I know it's summertime and everybody was putting suntan lotion on. The suntan lotion, when you pick up a bottle of suntan lotion and you can't pronounce all the ingredients in it, guess what they cause? Cancer. And you put that on your skin, which absorbs everything. You're scared of the sun because it's going to cause skin cancer, but you're putting 50 chemicals on the side of a bottle onto your skin to make you all shiny, and it's absorbing all those toxins directly into your skin. You're going to get cancer from the suntan lotion faster than you're going to get it from the sun. I'm just telling you, right? Take a plant out of the sun, it dies. Coppertone come up with a study back in the 80s that made $1 billion off of it. They're the ones that come up with the thing, Coppertone. You guys remember Coppertone? They made a study that the sun was bad for you. You got to take our product. And thus, suntan lotion was born. And everybody's jumped on the bandwagon.
Well, what can you do to prevent getting burnt then?
Stacey, what is the stuff we use in our house? What do you call it?
Well, if we're going to be out for a little bit, we just use plain old coconut oil. It's usually about 2 to 4 SPF.
Yep.
Otherwise, you can buy, like if you're going to the beach and you're going to be more prolonged, then we use something like zinc oxide, just the pure form. You know, the white stuff that's like really hard to wipe and stuff. That is
But well, a lot of times with my kids, we have 3 kids, well they're grown now, but we let them get burnt really good. And then they have a base tan, and they're good to go for the rest of the time. Think about it. They whine one day, you put some aloe on them, and then they have a base burn, a base tan, and they're good for the rest of the summer. We have a pool, and my kids live in the pool. We have a pool, and that's what we do, let them burn. My kids are teenagers, so they can take care of themselves. All right. But yeah, if you need something, the zinc oxide is okay. All right. So another thing to help lower inflammation, to lower cholesterol, is obviously to get rid of inflammation, you guys need to move. And we're almost out of time, so I'm not going to go through all that. I was going to have you guys get up and do some burst training with me, but I won't because it's hot in here and we're about out of time. But guys, to help lower inflammation, help that blood flow, to help fight heart disease, you don't need to exercise an hour every day. Yes, that's good for your heart and your lungs and everything. And if you got time, that's great. But what we teach our patients, for those of you that are guests, is I have you guys do this exercise for like 5 to 10 minutes a day, 3 times a week, and that's it. Right? It's called burst or surge training. Basically, you run really, really fast for 20 seconds to get your heart rate up, and then you rest for 20 seconds to bring your heart rate down. And then you do it again, and you do that on and off for 2 to 5 minutes, and then you rest for 2 minutes, and then you do it again. And so that's all you got to do 3 days a week. And it's designed to burn your body's sugar or energy reserves off. And then for the next 2 days, your body has to replenish your energy reserves, so it burns your fat stores. And so you burn calories or you burn fat for the next 2 days to replenish your energy. You just burn off really, really quick. Because it's called that fight or flight thing. All right?
So you said it's like running in place?
Yeah, and so you literally will sit there and you go like this as fast as you can. If you got bad knees, you can't make an excuse because I have you sit there and wiggle like bacon. Right? You just got to move. Doesn't matter.
You can't run.
Sit there in your chair and do it. We do it. There you go, Judy. Judy lost 68 pounds, right? So just sit there and move. I don't care what you do, just do it, right? And 3 days a week is all you need. You can do it more, but 3 days a week is optimal, okay? Mindset. Get rid of your stress. That includes getting rid of your family sometimes. I have 7 brothers and sisters. And my wife, Stacy, has 10. So you know when you get that text from that certain person, it's like, nah, I'm going to put it down. Right? Don't even get involved in that because there's some drama going on somewhere with a brother or sister, right? And so that is your stress sometimes, guys, is you need to hit delete or just ignore the text. Okay? De-stress your life, right? Take some time. Leave me a message. Leave me a message. All right? All right, so the next steps, we're going to wrap this up, all right? So now you have all this information, what do you do? All right? So everybody pull this out, especially patients, everybody, the ones you were taking notes on. So the 5 things I talked about were right there. They're what we call our bundle. That's our heart disease bundle. If you buy that, you'll save 28 bucks. You save 15% off, all right? If you don't want all that, everything else is just 10% off. But anytime you buy those 5 or 5 or more, you get 15% off. So that's the one, that's everything we talked about right there. Those are the supplements, so you don't have to worry about that. All right? I'm going to close with this. You guys know I'm passionate about what I do. And all this stuff is very, very important. So if you're a guest, that is important. Listen to what we say, do the exercise, the nutrition, supplementation, all that is important. But if you don't understand that God made you perfect and you just got in the way, you're going to miss the boat, right? And so when God made you, the ways He made you perfect is you have a thing called a brain and it has a spine that runs down through here, and inside that spinal cord, inside that spine, you have what we call a what? Spinal cord. And off the spinal cord, you have these things called nerves, and they control every cell, muscle, organ, tissue in your body. So for your heart to beat, to fight heart disease or whatever, for your liver to regulate your cholesterol, the brain has to send a signal from the brain down through these nerves in your spine, out through those holes, to these organs here, so you can function, right? And so if I cut the nerves going to your heart, what would happen to you? What percent of the time? 100%. So if you guys, from trauma, stots, or toxins, have any pressure on those nerves in your neck, like we talked about with that study with blood pressure, or the middle of your back that regulates your pancreas, or your liver, if there's any pressure there from trauma, thoughts, or toxins, which we all have because we didn't take care of ourselves, it's like I'm pinching the hose going to the vegetable in your garden. And how well is it going to work then? It's not. And you get a symptom, right, Judy? And you go to the doctor and they give you what? A pill. And they want you to take the pill forever. They never one time said, well, the reason why you have high blood pressure is not because you're fat, it's because you have pressure right there. I have plenty of people that are here to lose weight that don't have high blood pressure, right? Or don't have heart disease, so we can't say you're overweight and that's why you have high blood pressure, right? And then people like me come in here that are skinnier than me and they have type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure, and they look great. But their insides aren't functioning because there's interference where the brain is communicating to the rest of that body. All right? So if you're a patient, remember that. That's why I want you guys to show up for your appointments and get adjusted. All right? I just don't want you to come in here and buy a bunch of supplements, because this is the thing on the other side of this table is where the miracles happen, right?
Right, that's
the
right.
people that got off these medications weren't because they starved themselves. It's because their body got to heal the way the Lord designed it. All right? So if you're a guest and you want to know more about that, or you need help with that, Stacy, raise your hand. See Stacy afterwards, and I would love to sit down and hear your concerns and what you're going through next week and work with you one-on-one privately, okay? So if you have any concerns or would like to meet with me next week to see if we can help you, make sure you see Stacy so she can get you scheduled next week, okay? All right. Any other questions before we close? Yes, sir.
Yeah, earlier you said the AMA is their protective group, the American Medical Association.
Do what?
The American Medical Association.
AMA, yes, sir.
You said that's to protect us. They run these tests on certain things and say this is good, this is bad.
They're supposed to be protected.
Now,
I mean, they're good people. I'm not knocking. They're good organizations,
but
but yeah.
they know this stuff, obviously, like you know this stuff. So why did they present it to the public?
Pharmaceuticals. Money. We don't have to talk politics,
I
but when it comes to
understand
who runs the government, corporations, Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. They all take money, right? And they're all organized and run by money. The CNN, Fox, it doesn't matter. Okay, what channel you watch, all the commercials are what? Pharmaceutical commercials. Are they ever going to report a study that says this is wrong? Because what do? They're biting the hand that feeds them. Okay, and the AMA is not bad people. I'm not saying that. They may know this or they may not. They may agree with it, or may not agree with it. Their biggest thing in the AMA or anything is, well, if we can help that one person with this and that medication worked, it's worth it. All the other problems. Does that make sense? Just like with the vaccine issue, we don't need to debate vaccines. Some people swear they help. Some people swear they don't. Right? We don't vaccinate our kids because I see the poor kids that come in here with vaccine damage, right? And so I don't vaccinate my own kids because I see the poor kids that come in here with vaccine damage. But somebody will argue all day long that vaccines are good. And that's their right or your right or anybody else's right. So it's just about getting educated, learning, and picking out what you believe or don't believe, and then going down that path, if that makes sense.
But then the doctors decide to go that direction by prescribing this stuff.
Right. So when
And
you're
they take this hypocritical order that says, hey, I'm not going to mess with life, I'm going to heal life.
make any harm. I'm not going to cause any harm. Exactly. So in a doctor's mind, when they prescribe you that medication, they think they're doing good. All right? And doctors aren't bad people. Just like me telling you not to take the medication, I think I'm doing good because that's my belief system.
But you present a very good case, okay? And I'm sure there's doctors out there that are prescribing this stuff. They're on the same level you are. So why do it? You know, I
Because
mean,
that's what they know to do. That's all they know.
Yeah.
And all doctors aren't bad people, okay? But when was the last time your doctor
Like this lady
said,
said, they're
let's
taught,
put you on a
but-
nutrition program, or let's do this and get you off the medication?
Well, it's
There's
sometimes-
good ones and
They
there's
don't
bad
know
ones.
it.
And sometimes it's the patient, because how many of us would rather just take a pill
So
thinking
easy.
it's going to fix something?
I don't
than
care, just
actually
give me
do the
this.
hard work? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I was having some problems and I kept asking the doctor, now, what can I do natural? What can I do natural? She would not answer, she would not answer, she would not answer. And then finally she said, I cannot answer that question in that way, in that manner, because I don't know. But some of my patients have had help with this, you know.
And people
way,
are
and it
so
was a natural
happy,
way.
doctors are scared.
don't know.
If you go to a heart doctor, okay, and I see a lot of heart patients here, and I will tell them to stop taking their medications if they're doing the right things, but if their heart doctor that prescribed that medication took them off, and then they didn't go out there and do what they're supposed to do, they have a heart attack, guess what they're gonna do? Sick family's gonna sue the doctor because the doctor took them off the medications. But it wasn't the doctor's fault because you just didn't follow the doctor's orders. It's, you didn't, or whatever the case is, yes ma'am. All right.
What about rice milk, almond milk?
Yes, sir. That's all we drink in our house, other than the Happy Cow milk, is all milk. I put almond milk and coconut milk in my shake every morning for breakfast with 10 eggs. That's a whole other shot. I drink 10 eggs every morning for breakfast. It's good. It's good for you. Eggs are good for you. They're not bad. Don't listen to the fluff.
Coconut milk in a bottle.
Not raw.
You can get it in a bottle or a carton. We get ours. Stacey, where do you get ours in our carton? Coconut milk.
You can pretty much find it at any local grocery store these days. Just try to find it
It
where.
doesn't come in a can though, right?
No, that's the condensed. No.
Oh.
You can get it at Walmart. It's just you just get raw organic coconut milk or almond milk.
Unsweetened.
And Stacy gets creative sometimes, and she makes her own almond milk sometimes. She has this little thing, just throw a bunch of almonds in there and just make her own milk. Yeah.
What's a healthy heart rate?
A healthy heart rate. It's according to how old you are and what your activity levels is. All right, so anywhere between, if you're calm and relaxed, it could be 45 or 50 or 60. If you're excited, it can be 120, 150, 160.
She says mine's too low, it's about 40, nighttime it's 42, 45.
That's low.
My wife,
Is
Stacey's,
that too
yours
low?
is like hardly anything. Her blood pressure's like 100 over 10. It's ridiculous. It's very low.
I've got the energy and stuff, I never get tired.
So what's yours?
44, 42, 44, 45.
Yeah, see, that's low, but you're in shape for your age, and considering what you've been through, because I know your health issue, you're in great shape for your and what you've been through. All right. Any other questions before I bless you and let you guys go? All right, bless you guys. Have a great evening, all right? See Stacy if you need an appointment.